families are trying to squeeze in every last moment of seeing their loved ones on board, and also as the Prime Minister walked down there, they're also trying to catch a glimpse of him. If you'd like, though, we do have one family member who is standing by, and we will go get that family in a moment. One of the interesting things, Peter, Mike, if you can get that, family member for us. One of the interesting things, Peter, I've talked to a few of the families in between the interviews I've done with you, and asked them one of the questions that you addressed a short while ago, which was, to what extent are their feelings different today because of the uncertainty of the mission, the war aspect of the mission, as opposed to some of the missions in the past. And almost to a person, the families, I must say, surprised me a little bit by saying that the inherent uncertainty and danger of any mission, even if war is not part of it, is so great that at least today many of them feel as if today's not much different. As you can see, our guest is here now. Tanya Stewart, thank you very much for talking to us at a time that is obviously a little emotional for you. Your husband is leading seaman Jason Stewart, and he's on board this ship behind us, the Preserver.
Yes, he is.
And tell me a little bit about the goodbyes and your feelings right now.
I'm proud of him. A little upset that he had to leave. I hope he is okay when he's over there. I hope everything goes okay and he's back next week. But if he's not, then we'll just keep in touch by email.
A few moments ago, I spoke to a wife of a military member and the daughter of a military member, and they are used to an extent, these goodbyes. There have been a few of them. Doesn't make it any easier, but they're sort of used to it. In your case, you're not used to this. You just got married. In fact, I understand your honeymoon was interrupted by this assignment.
Well, not really, but kind of, yeah. It was like still newlyweds, still getting used to each other, and there's a lot of love between us. I'm going to miss him dearly. He hasn't been really on anything like this before. He's been on your small 3-month, 4-month trips, but that's about it.
Did you know this is what you were signing up for when you got married?
That's why I agreed to marry him. I love him to death, but I wouldn't change him for the world.
Give us a sense of how you prepare for this, because as we've been talking earlier, many families are used to short absences by husbands and wives. This is a pretty long one, and there's the added dimension of wartime, being involved in a war. How did you prepare over the last few days for the departure?
I tried not to think about it. Just thinking about different things that I can do, different hobbies that I could pick up. Friends are really important at a time like this. His family came all the way from PEI just to be with me so I wouldn't be alone. Just try to keep busy is mainly what I try to do. I have no family here in Halifax, so the closest family I got is Jason's mom and dad and brother, and they're in PEI. Just try to keep busy.
A lot of people with no direct involvement with military members have found the events of the last 4 or 5 weeks very difficult to imagine, to watch the news coverage of. And again, I would think that in your case, there's the added dimension of knowing that your husband was about to and is about to get a little closer to the area of conflict. Have you been watching more news than usual, less news, trying to put it out of your mind?
I'm trying to watch less news. I just bring up the website on the computer and I just kind of read the briefs of what's going on. I'd like to know what's going on, but I don't want to know that they're in danger. I don't want to know anything like that. But I'll probably just watch the news a little bit, like on the local news stations and stuff like that, but nothing really, like I'm not going to sit down and glued to the TV constantly.
and how do you get ready for the first that you have to part as a married couple? Did you wrap anything to put in his kit bag, or promises to email, or how do you deal with the separation and upcoming, no doubt, birthdays and holidays?
Well, Christmas is not going to be the same this year, so we're going to have Christmas when he comes back. We're going to do the trees and the decorations when he comes back.
And just before we go, tell me a little bit about what your husband does and what he'll be doing on the ship.
He's in the combat department. He's a naval combat officer in operations. He basically deals with the radars and different things like that.
And I asked about your mood. Tell me a little bit about his mood as you said goodbye.
He's worried. He was kind of upset that I wasn't going to be okay, but I promised him I'd be okay. That's probably about it. I think he was kind of anxious too. Like you said, this is what he was trained to do, so this is what he's going to do. So he's proud.
It's interesting, you know, when you said worried, I thought to myself, oh, worried about the mission ahead, which wouldn't be surprising at all. Then you quickly explained worried about you. Is he worried about himself at all?
He is, yeah, but he doesn't want to, like, I can tell, like, over the last few days, his different actions that he's been doing, he's not himself. So I know he's kind of worried about the whole thing of going over there. I know he'd prefer not to if he had a choice, but he said he's not excited about going over, but he said he's looking forward to going over and doing whatever he can to help out with the situation.
All right, Tanya Stewart, thank you very much. Back to you, Peter.
Thanks again, Ian. Fascinating conversation again, and giving us a glimpse inside of what it must be like for a young military couple, and in their case, just having been married just a short time ago. Now the husband off on assignment. Watching the Prime Minister as he talks with some of the family members just on the dock side, and I think he's just off from where HMCS Charlottetown is. Now, if you're during Ian's interview with Tanya there, you might have noticed on her chest, there it is now, we're just taking a freeze frame of that shot. This is the invisible ribbon, the special ribbon that you heard the Governor General perhaps the other day talking about, because Adrienne Clarkson was wearing one when she was in Halifax on Monday. This is a ribbon that anyone can wear. It is recognizing the contribution of not only Canada's military, but the families of Canada's military personnel who are serving not only overseas but here at home as well at this special time. So if you're interested in joining that campaign, you should contact your nearest Canadian Forces base to see how you can get hold of one of those ribbons as well. It was an idea actually started by a couple of military wives in Manitoba about 5 years ago, and is once again being renewed in terms of the publicity it gets. Prime Minister talking with a young family. See whether we can hear. I think our microphones are not quite close enough to pick up the conversation. One of the other things I found interesting, that conversation Ian was having with young Tanya there. Well, let's listen to this. Maybe we can hear this.
Great to be young and single. Hey, right, you buy a few cars once in a while? Oh, yeah. Good. Well, I'm sure he will. I did my thing. I'm done.
All right, mainly handshakes and a few comments, and we heard there from one family thanking the Prime Minister for being here today in Halifax as the vessels prepare to leave. Well, let's go back down to the dockyard. Rob Gordon has a guest with him. Rob?
Peter, joining me now is Dan Middlemess. He's a Dalhousie University defense expert. Dr. Middlemess, can you tell me about this fleet? What can it actually do? It's going to be working with some of the larger ships in the world, some of the most powerful warships in the world. We're just sending a few ships. Does it have a real military role?
I think it certainly does, and compared to 10 years ago in the Gulf, we're sending double the size, and I think these are far more capable operationally than they were at that time. Significant changes. We have combat-proven people in charge that were there in the Gulf, and they have those lessons to draw upon, plus 10 years of operating in theater in that very area of the world. Purpose-built ships now that we don't have to cobble together like we did the last time. I think it's infinitely better prepared. I don't think it's that small. 6 ships, pretty significant compared to most, and we're completely seamlessly interoperable with our principal allies, mainly the United States.
Now, the Canadian Navy is small, and that means we're sending 6 ships away. What does that mean about what's going to happen here at home in terms of patrolling our own coasts?
Well, there's a big gap in our backyard. For the short term, not too much, but we do have the MCDVs, the coastal patrol vessels, and the reservists who are trained to operate them. They could fill in for a while, but there's no question, should this operation last for more than 5 or 6 months, there's going to be real questions of sustainability, both people and equipment.
Is the Canadian Navy capable of keeping this number of ships on station for more than 6 months?
All the government mandated in its 1994 white paper was 6 months for a smaller group. So we're sending more, probably for that long at least. and there's questions about how long it can go, but I think in the short term, yes, we can certainly do that, and we've got nothing to be ashamed of. This is a significant group.
Okay, thank you. That's Dan Middlemiss, a Dalhousie defense expert.
All right, Rob, thanks very much. We've seen the Prime Minister just getting in Ford, one of the special limousines that's moving him around that dock area. Is heading over now, I assume, to the area where the speeches will take place. He's not the only